Hey there, Barrett Wilson here. Now, what's the difference between those two solos? One felt kind of static, with no movement, a whole lot of notes. The other, I was trying to build a story. Today we're talking about going beyond technique and scales in our solos. We're talking about adding real emotion. Many guitarists, myself included, tend to get caught up in overplaying notes, scales, maybe arpeggios. But emotion in guitar playing isn't about complexity. It's about feeling something. We're not showing off our skill. We're trying to communicate emotion, tell stories, and lift the music. Today, I'm going to share some tips that will take your solos from technical exercises into musical statements that actually communicate emotion. So my first tip is to use fewer notes. Now, this might sound counterintuitive, but one of the quickest ways to add emotion to your solos is to play fewer notes, not more. Trying to play every note of the scale quickly turns out to be more of an academic experience than a spiritual one. But when we limit ourselves to just a few notes and really explore what those notes can do, that's when things get interesting and statements are made. Okay, here's a few things to explore with just picking a few notes. Try picking maybe 2, 3, or 4 notes that sound good over the whole progression. Try playing them in different octaves. You can use different rhythms, long notes, short notes, maybe some syncopation. You can also try different articulations, bending, sliding into notes, or maybe adding vibrato. And then a really important thing is creating space. So playing a phrase and then letting the audience sit with that phrase, some silence between notes. This can create a really dramatic sort of approach to build the drama in your solo. So let me try a few ideas over the progression that I was playing, just using a few notes and incorporating some of these ideas. Okay, so the goal here is to make those few notes really count. Less is more. Now, real quick, to find more in-depth lessons on not only soloing techniques, but complete beginner to advanced guitar learning, click the link in the description below for a free ultimate beginner guide that includes an essential chord chart, a practice plan, a walkthrough of some beginner pitfalls to avoid, plus a whole lot more. All right, let's get back to the lesson. Okay, my second tip is to build a story. Great solos aren't just collections of notes, they're stories with a beginning, middle, and end. They have peaks and valleys, moments of tension and release. So let's look at a few key elements. You want to maybe start with a simple idea and then build the complexity from there. So again, maybe only starting with a few notes and then increasing the complexity as you go. Let's talk about peaks and valleys. So that's kind of like dynamics, or volume even. Try playing soft for a little while before really picking it up, adding some more volume, adding some dynamic. And this really adds interest to your solo. You can think about using call and response. This is sort of like playing in phrases. So not just individual notes. You're playing a phrase, which is a statement. That's the call. And then you play another phrase, which is a response. So you're having a conversation, essentially. Now, throughout this, you can think of dissonance, maybe some notes that are a little bit more, dissonant, that resolve to a more consonant sound. This builds the drama even more. You could also think about making your solo messy. At some point, you might hit some wrong notes, but that's okay. You can always slide into a right note. Now, the important thing is to have a clear high point of your solo, and then eventually try and wind it down and have a strong resolution, a nice ending. So let's try some of these ideas once again. Here I go. Hopefully, if we are present and letting what emotions are inside of us out through the guitar, then hopefully we've taken the listener on a journey. My last tip here is to play the sweet notes. Now, what does that mean? Some of that is left to interpretation and also for you to search for. But if we're thinking a little bit more scientifically, certain notes tend to bring out more color, depth, and maybe emotion. Now, one way to do this is to just play chord tones. Now, chord tones are just the notes of the chord that's happening. So if it's A minor, I'm going to play A minor notes. Once it moves to the next chord, say it's F, I'm going to play those notes. If it's G, I'm playing those notes. Okay, another common thing here is to play common tones. Now that's as the chords are moving, you stay on the notes that are common from chord to chord. So say it's this A minor idea, but we're moving to an F chord. Well, two of those notes are the same. This A note here and this C note are also in an F chord. Really, the only one that switches is E to F. So that allows us, I could play both of those notes through those chords. I could hang on this note, I could hang on this note, and that's what common tones are. Next thing would be playing chord extensions. This can add some sophistication. Sometimes it can be overused, but it's a really good sound. So for example, this A minor, sometimes we might play the 9. This would be a really good sound to play over that. Or the F, we might play the 9 of that chord, which would be G. Now, a big part of soloing is trusting your ear. If a note sounds good, it probably is good. And this happens the more practice you put into soloing. You start to build an intuition for what note is going to sound good over chord to chord changes. This allows you to pay attention to how notes resolve, tension notes leading to more stable notes. Now, another thing you can do is a chromatic approach. And this is when you're sort of maybe playing chord tones. I'm on this A minor. We might approach it chromatically. So approaching it from below is a great thing to do. Same thing if you're on maybe the G. It's a really cool sound. Something to try. Okay, let me try a few of those ideas out over the progression. Here I go. Now, like everything in music, practice makes perfect, and the more you solo with this kind of thinking, the more you'll start to build your own vocabulary. Start with these 3 concepts, use fewer notes, really explore them. Build your solos like stories with peaks and valleys. Focus on finding those sweet notes that connect with the harmony underneath. Practice these ideas over simple progressions like the one we use today. Record yourself and then listen back. Does your solo take you on an emotional journey? The goal here is not perfection. We're just trying to express ourselves in an interesting way. All right, thanks for joining me. Be sure to enter your email for a free beginner guitar guide, linked in the description, or you can find it on the next screen. Happy practicing.